Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks for tuning in. Happy New Year. I hope you guys had great holidays. In fact, that's what we're going to be talking about today, the holiday blues. We're talking about depression. This is part two, the holiday blues. And we're talking about depression. Is it a serial killer, a mass murderer? I mean, depression is killing a lot of people throughout the country through suicide. There's no question about it. The first thing I want to bring up is that we have a channel out there on YouTube. It's free. It's called Thrive. And that's for people that are having a hard time with addictive illness, where they have addictive illness tearing up their family. So we want you to know that that's available. It has some educational videos on there. Feel free to go on, take a look, see if any of those videos can help you out through these trying times. I mean, I can't imagine what it's like to have addictive illness running rampant in your house when you have COVID going on. I mean, I think that's just got to be a nightmare and a half. Second of all, we want to talk about our webinar. Our webinar will be coming up. There will be links to Thrive, which has our educational videos, and there will be a link to our webinar series, hopefully a series. We're trying to get one off the ground. It's pretty much coming along, but it's not set yet. And we'd like you to take a look. Go to the link in where do we have it in the up in the yeah, in the description. Link up in the description. Sorry about that. So if you go to the description, you'll find a link for Thrive. You'll find a link for our webinar series, and also you're going to find a link for my friend's books. My friend and colleague of over 20 years is here today. We're very honored to have him. His name is Leo Battenhausen. He is an expert in depression, mental health, and addictive illness. And he's written two fantastic books. The first one is Social Side, way before its time. And you'll see what I mean if you decide to read it. I suggest you do. How America is loving itself to death. Social Side, how America is loving itself to death. And another great book that he's written, I really think it's a major book for anybody with depression, is called Soul Doubt. That's SOULDOUBT. Soul Doubt. Okay. And those are two great books. You will see them on the screen. There's links to them. And you can buy them at Amazon or wherever fine books are sold. They're there. Okay. Also, I want to let you know that in the description as well, you will find contact information for Leo Battenhausen in case anybody wants to contact him after we do today's show and may want to talk to him or set up an appointment with him. With all that being said, my honored guest, Leo Battenhausen, how are you? And how are you doing with the so-called holiday blues? How's everybody doing that and all your clients?
Well, John, thanks for asking, and thank you for that. I really appreciate that. It's great to be back with you and then talking on your show. I love your stuff. You know that I'm a loyal fan and supporter of you for years.
Mhm.
I'm fine, thank you, and happy New Year, like I said, to you and to you, everybody else that might be watching. Our holiday blues are in check. Okay, my clients, they, for the most part, they're okay, but we every year we go through the same thing. With or without the pandemic and with COVID, it's a time of the year for people that um, have lost loved ones. They remember happier times. They miss what they had and the magic of Christmas when we're younger and having a big family around you. So it's a very difficult time for many people, for various reasons. And some people get low level depressions around this time. Other people get much higher level of depressions around this time, enough where suicides can occur and do occur. And we are going to talk about that, I know, but we are also, we see the, well, probably people are very familiar with is SAD or SAD, seasonal affective disorder. A lot of my clients are affected by this. This is more common than we realize. The sunshine and the outdoors of warmer weather and more pleasant weather certainly does wonders for one's good feeling good about themselves and feeling good self-esteem and staying out of depression. Then when you're in this winter darkness, the blues come around and they just don't make you feel well. You're just not feeling good anymore. We're not getting God's natural solutions to depression during this time. So that also contributes to the the old holiday reminiscing we do around Christmas, and just we miss it. And so, but overall, we're all okay. I mean, I'm working very hard with some very dedicated people who want to stay healthy and happy during these times this year.
That's great to hear, because I'm going to tell you, in 2016, when you published Sold Out, when Sold Out came out in 2016, okay, it was announced by the World Health Organization that depression, get this, depression by 2020, okay, was going to be a second diagnosed medical problem in the world, okay, behind heart disease. All right. Now, what's so interesting with this, as you and I know, and it's major when we talk about this,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
is that depression lots of times can cause cardiovascular disease, can cause heart disease. Okay. So, I mean, this was in 2016. This came out by the World Health Organization, and you put it out there as you published your book Sold Out, which again is a great book, especially for anybody with suffering from depression. Bottom line is, why is depression such an instigator, if you will, of cardiovascular disease? Why is it a precursor to heart disease?
Okay, well, yeah, very good question, and it certainly needs an answer. I think, well, before we get to today, prior to that, when I wrote Sold Out, we would see depression causing cardiovascular disease because depression also is a very good friend of anxiety and stress, John. You can't have depression without anxiety and stress. Some people can have anxiety and stress without depression, but when you have depression, you are definitely going to be seeing anxiety and stress, which can do just about anything to the human body without our control. It can cause heart attacks, it can cause ulcers, it can cause people to lose their hair. It certainly can cause strokes and heart attacks. We're not feeling well, and our body is trying to tell us that there's something wrong emotionally, and it acts out in other ways if we're not attending to the depression itself. Okay, that's what's happening. And I think by 2020, like the World Health Organization predicted, I do believe it's it's the second highest, if not close to the highest, most diagnosed medical problem in the world. However, we aren't seeing the people that are diagnosing this stuff looking at that aspect of it. I mean, depression is kind of being left out of the picture. And of course, a lot of people don't get screened for depression. A lot of people don't even know they have depression. And they're having all of these other ailments, like we said, heart disease, who knows what else. Okay. I mean, I'm telling you, stress and anxiety and depression can do anything to a body, but it's functioning where the body is trying to tell us, help me, help me, help me,
Right.
when we're depressed. Okay. That's one reason. The biological reasons is the body is built to tell us there's something wrong up here too. Of course, the medical field doesn't give us much credit for this, though, not yet anyway, and we are strong advocates for that. I know you are, and I certainly am, and we need to be. And now we're looking at COVID year 2020 depression, and here we are. And
Yeah,
since John, I want to throw this statistic out there, which is it blew my mind to hear this, that since I think 1998, we've seen depression go up 35%.
yeah,
Okay,
incredible.
it's incredible. And before that, between the years 2007 and 2018, John, there has been a rise in depression and most suicide. Let me correct that. Suicides by 56%. That's more than half of an increase in young adults and children. So what I'm leading to is that was in 2018. We're way behind in
Right.
statistics. We don't follow them as carefully as other countries do with suicides. And that was 2018. Now you throw COVID into this mix, and you're going to see increases in drinking, drug abuse, substance abuse, smoking. Then those are, as you know, and I know, are huge causes of depression in themselves, and can cause cardiovascular disease, and will cause cardiovascular disease. So this mystery killer or serial killer of depression, it's a sneaky little thing, and a sneaky little bastard, and it will find you any way it can. And we are kind of fighting our own battle against it because we don't hear enough about it. I
Yeah,
think
I believe it's one of death's best friends,
that's
depression,
very
because
well
it
put,
leads
unfortunately.
it leads to so much suicide, okay, which we're in an epidemic right now. And as you said, this was brought out in 2016 that it was a major health problem. By 2020, it would be a major health problem, and how it's connected to heart disease. However, that was with COVID out of the mix. Nobody knew of COVID then.
Correct.
Now
Correct.
we've got COVID in the formula. COVID is part of the formula. Who the heck knows what the numbers are going to be? And you talk about the body feeling, all kinds of terrible emotions, negative emotions, feeling hopeless, feeling worthless, all these dark, negative thoughts flooding the brain, and the thoughts create the feelings. So these negative feelings are going through the body. And then the other piece of it is that the body wants help. The body say, hey, beam me up, Scotty. The
Exactly.
body can't take this. So the body's turning around and saying, let me drink more. Let me
And,
smoke more. Let me do some drugs, because this is how I'll get out of depression. This is my relief.
well,
Okay. The
John,
body,
it works. I'm
yeah,
it
yeah,
works
it
for a
works.
while,
It works temporarily,
very
only
small amount of
temporarily.
time. Yes.
And then the person, then all of a sudden, the depression becomes compounded, and you're not only dealing with a psychological depression, but you're dealing with a pharmacological depression
Absolutely.
as well, because you're depleting neurotransmitters, and some people are ingesting a lot of central nervous system depressants into an already depressed body. Okay,
Yes.
so you're
Mhm.
right on, and this is what's going on. And a question I have for you: what are some of the signs for people to look for in their kids, their loved ones, that can alert them to depression? Again, one of dad's best friends, that can lead a family member to suicide.
And that is a very, very valid question, and one I hope people will listen to. There are signs and symptoms of depression that are easily overlooked, okay? And a lot of people do overlook them. But some major signs, and right now we're in kind of a strange situation with the pandemic and the lockdowns to get a full spectrum of the symptoms. However, there's still plenty to be seen, and we're looking for overeating,
Mhm.
weight gain, or weight loss, lack of an appetite, lack of eating. We're looking for difficulty concentrating on
Hmm.
schoolwork or work. If you're working from home, wherever you're working from, or wherever you're going to school from, concentration is very distorted. It's hard to stay focused. Sleeping far too much and way over time, or the opposite, sleeping less and not sleeping well. We're also looking at disconnection from contact with loved ones, and a lack of interest in anything really that would be going on. I think I said we're in a kind of a different kind of situation because we can't measure socializing as we used to. If you're not going out a lot, you're not doing the things that were once your passion, which is another piece of this too, which is feeding this depression thing. Like, people love working out, and it's a very good way to fight depression. They love going to
Right,
the gym.
right.
They can't now, so that's feeding it. But going back to the signs, drinking too much, okay, smoking too much, like I said, concentration, lack of interest in intimacy. If you're in a relationship with someone and you're living together, you're not really feeling like you want to be together as much. That's another sign. And not necessarily someone has to walk around feeling, I'm so sad, I'm sad, I'm sad. That's not always the case. Maybe that's mostly the case, but it's a very confusing and misleading word, depression is, for what it actually can be. So we're looking at personality changes. We're looking at interest changes, lack thereof, looking at health changes, like I said, gaining weight, losing weight, too much on either end. Sometimes it's healthy to lose weight, sometimes it's healthy to gain weight. But when you're overdoing it, that's again, we're looking for relief. Food is a drug. And sometimes not eating is a drug. That's a pain that can be controlled, and like an anorexia or bulimia, but that's a whole nother story, and we can talk about that then. But these are the things people need to look at, especially parents with young kids. Ask them. We need to open up dialogues. How are you feeling? Okay, emotionally, everything is okay. Do you feel like hurting yourself? People might think, I'm not gonna ask my kid that. You have to ask your kid that. The schools should be asking children that. There should be some form of formalized screening too during these times, to get a better grip on what's going on. That's missing. Okay, so those, I mean, does that make sense? What I'm telling you, some of these
It
signs,
it it, it all it
symptoms.
all it all makes sense,
Okay,
and you when you talk about loneliness, when you talk about people giving stuff away,
that's
when
big too.
giving their stuff
Huge.
away, like, is because they know they're thinking about killing themselves, they're not going to be around, so they have things that are very valuable to them, that
Yes.
mean a lot to them, and so
Mhm.
they give it away. They're online. They're looking at various suicide websites,
Yeah, how to kill yourself
how to
without
kill
pain.
yourself. What's the easiest and best way to kill yourself? There's so many different warning signs out there.
There's
Even if they're
plenty.
starting to cut themselves, which is self mutilation, really,
Absolutely.
and doing harm to oneself. That can be a beginning. The best predictor of a upcoming suicide attempt, of course, is a previous suicide attempt.
Correct.
But
Mhm.
when somebody starts talking about suicide,
Yeah.
when they're so depressed, like you said, they don't want to get out of bed, or they're just like you see they're not themselves. You
Well,
see
that's in a
things have changed.
nutshell.
This is not the child, or this is not the loved one that I'm used to seeing. Something's different here.
No, no,
Okay.
you're right. That's
And that's
on
a warning sign.
spot on. Big warning sign. Let me add to that. Um, SAD, seasonal affective disorder,
Yeah.
Christmas
Yeah.
blues. Okay, now those kind of behaviors can be very normal around this time of year. Okay, the problem is if they continue, if they're going
Yeah.
on for
Right.
over more than 3 weeks, that's something's not right. Okay, a week of that. Okay, especially with kids, if it doesn't pass, I would give it 7 days, no more, no less.
Hmm.
But when it continues, you've got to start doing some detective work with your children,
Mhm.
and with our, of course, with adults as well, because people, we're just as susceptible, and we do the same things. Giving things away is a big one, and
Mhm.
looking online to see what's, or and even saying like you did, I don't want to think I don't want to be around here anymore. Nobody cares about me. There's no hope. This world's going to be terrible. These are they're telling you, they're giving us the help we need to help them. And that's another, people are afraid. How do I help suicide? What do I do? It's not that difficult. First of all, a lot of people want to rush to help and say, but look at what you have. You got this beautiful house. You got kids. You're a handsome little girl, a beautiful little girl. You got all these things. You get a little A student. None of that matters when you're depressed. You could be a gazillionaire and live in 12 mansions. And when you're depressed, none of that makes a damn bit of difference, John.
Yeah, no, it doesn't matter how much money you have or how
No,
successful you are. Depression is a disease,
it
okay? It's
is.
like any other disease. You know it's a disease because insurance companies pay for it most of the time. So, it is a disease. There's no question about it. It's in the DSM, right?
Hmm.
So the other part of that is, it has to be treated as a disease. I call it like cancer of the mind because depression, if untreated, it starts to flood your mind with all these negative thoughts, which create the feelings. We call them thought distortions, cognitive distortions in the field. But
Correct.
the bottom line is it starts eating away at your mind. I mean, you get flooded over with them, and they're coming out of left field. They hold no water. Like you always said, it's a temporary or a
Permanent
permanent
solution,
solution to a
temporary.
temporary problem. I mean, I quote you all the time on that. And a lot of people don't understand that, and they don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. They're overwhelmed with this darkness and this cloak of negative thoughts, which are creating the negative feelings, and they see no way out. And you brought it out last time in part one, where you talked about how it's like physical. You could feel like physical
Oh yeah.
pain from it.
It is a physical pain. It's an unbearable pain, almost like, I guess, having a terminal disease of some sort that's just tearing apart at your body. That's what people are trying to free themselves from. It gets that bad. It's not just I feel like a bad person. It's a lot more involved in that. When you just want to free yourself from the pain of not feeling like you belong anywhere, or you have a purpose, or you're not appreciated, you're not loved. It's an ugly, ugly thing, and it does more than, it just destroys and destroys and destroys. It's almost like a drug. How if you get addicted to that, it eventually kills you in the end.
Yeah.
This depression thing is very similar, I would say. Wouldn't you? I would think that if you don't treat it, it's going to kill you, and it can. It's very difficult, but we need to be aware of other things, that are not happening. Again, I revert to kids, because we're seeing these numbers with children killing themselves. This is just, I can't, sad is
Sad. It's pretty rough.
sad is not the
Pretty
word. I
rough.
don't know what the word is.
Yeah, it's
It should
horrible.
not be
Yeah.
happening. But you
Yeah.
know what? There's Dr. Dunkley. I think that's her name. I can double check on that. But she wrote a whole book about the importance of kids being outdoors and getting green leaves and air and space and playing outdoors, and to fight depression. Now we're being told you can't go outside, not
Mhm.
only because of this COVID thing, but also before that, people, you're going to get kidnapped, this and this. We have to work around this, protect the kids or whatever we need to do, of course, but get them outside, get them out. And that's how they're developing. They're at a point in their lives where this is their natural development stages are being interrupted and being said, no, you can't do this. That might be a big part of why this depression's going up. They don't know who they are. They're trying to learn who they are right now. That's what childhood and adolescence is all about: developing a self, developing an identity, developing values. But we're kind of saying you can't do that now. You have to wait. Wait till this is over, or wear a mask, or whatever the case might be. So
And
there's a lot of things going on.
there's a lot going on, absolutely correct. And we're going to see what the numbers are when all this stuff gets sorted out next year or two, hopefully. But
Hopefully.
these thoughts, and my theory on low self-esteem, is at the beginning of addiction. It's also the beginning of depression, because I truly believe you cannot be depressed if you do not have a low self-esteem. I really believe that you can be sad, as you've mentioned, okay, and that's different from depression. But if you're depressed, that can be sadness as well. And that low self-esteem robs you of your confidence, okay?
Mhm.
And confidence is kind of an antidepressant, built-in
Absolutely.
antidepressant, if you will, okay?
Yep.
So it really plays a role, and it's important for a person to have good self-esteem. And unfortunately, self-esteem has to come from self. And you will have a good self-esteem if you don't listen to these negative thoughts, this little bullshitter whispering in your ear that are coming out of left field, telling you you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not good looking enough, you're
Right.
ugly. I mean, this is all BS. There's no hope for you. It's only going to get worse. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. You're hopeless, worthless. That's all BS.
Of
It's
course
coming
it
out of
is.
the field doesn't mean it. And this is what people have got to understand. Yeah, and kids got to understand it. Lots of times parents have to intervene. As you and I came into the field many years ago, okay, we heard no intervention is a bad intervention. I mean, there is no harm in an intervention. If you think that your child or somebody you love is going down the tubes, get them to somebody ASAP. What do you got to lose?
Absolutely.
What do you got to lose? It's
I
that
don't know if that's
simple.
happening as much as it should be, John. I don't. There's still a lot of that stigma attached to mental health and mental illness. You don't need to talk to anybody. We're going to figure this out. I'm not crazy. I don't need that. We'll fix this at home. You just need to go play baseball. There's still a lot of that going on, which is hard to believe. But then again, it's not that hard to believe because of the little attention the mental health field in general still doesn't get in this day and age compared to regular medical treatment and care. It's more important to I don't know what, go get your teeth cleaned than to go get your head checked out. Really, come on. But this is what's happening. You're right, and
Your teeth are
we
more
need
important than your brain.
but we don't pay attention to the brain. That's another story for another show, maybe, why that's happening. But you're right, and everything you say is absolutely right. Those thoughts, I don't know where they come from. Maybe they come from childhood. They come from ourselves. That we do have control over those, John. You've taught me that a long time ago, and we can challenge those thoughts, and we must challenge those thoughts. But if you've got evidence here, and I talked about this last time, can you bring evidence to the court of personal self-esteem and prove to the judge why you're such a piece of shit? If you can do that, maybe you have a case. I think 99% can't. And those who could would never even bother trying because they don't think there's anything wrong with them.
Exactly. And there's no way, if you challenge those thoughts and you brought them to court and you brought them, like you said, before a judge, there's no way you would find out that they're true.
Exactly.
They're not true. Okay. They're fictional. Okay.
Bring
They're
the fact.
bullshit.
Bring me the
They're not
fact.
factual. There's no facts involved in them. And that's what I've always done and you've done. We've challenged our clients. What are the facts? What
Right.
facts you have that you're hopeless and worthless
They
and
don't
that
have
you're
them,
yeah.
John. I
What do
loved
you
using that question because they get that. There's no facts. Okay, so what are we talking about here?
yeah.
You
Yeah.
need
How
to
could
change
you
your
see into
thinking.
the future with you don't even know what's coming. We don't even know what's coming tomorrow. You can't say that. You're
Right.
just going through a problem, a blue mood, if you will, and unless it's worse, and then
Right. Sometimes it
you
isn't.
need to read.
Sometimes it is. Sometimes it isn't. But
And,
that's our job to figure out which it is.
and it
And
needs to be intervened on. And again, Depression is death's best friend along with suicide. Suicide, the serial or mass murder, however you want to look at it. Okay. So, also in the description, there will be a link to the suicide hotline, National Suicide Hotline. Also, too, I have to bring up your books again. They're great books. Okay. We got Social Side. You were ahead of everybody. You were ahead of your time with this book, way ahead of your time. And, Social Side really lays the truth out there. Who wants to look at it? Now, that's a different story. People have got to want to accept responsibility for the days and times we're in and for what they're doing. Are, as you brought out in the book, is America loving itself to death? Are we loving ourselves to death through our narcissism, through our selfies, and through all this, and just focusing on ourselves and not focusing on others? So, Social Side, fantastic book. Sold Out, fantastic book for depression. Fantastic book for depression. Nothing, it's really a great book. And those books will be up. We'll have links to them. You'll see them. And, you've really, really put some works out there. I mean, altogether, I think you've written, what, 4 books now or something? 5 books? I don't know how many books you've written altogether, but I know you're writing away.
I think it's 4, John. There might be.
You're just a
But thank you.
wild man with that. You just love to write. You just love to write, and
to read it. I wrote Sold Out in a way that would be, you can pick up these self-help books and they'll just throw them away. I don't want to do charts. I wrote it to speak directly to people's hearts and to see themselves in it. Yeah, I've been there. I know this. That's what I tried to make my books.
You've been there. You've been Dale. Yeah, and I know that. And you came right out of it. And more power to you. You have risen from the ashes of depression. So
It can be
fantastic.
done. If I can do it, John, anybody can do it.
Yeah, and not only you have the credentials, you're a certified, licensed certified clinical social worker, right? LCSW.
Yeah.
And you're an LCADC, licensed clinical alcohol and drug counselor. And also, you've been there and you know what it's like, and you know what it's like to come out of it. And you've written these books. And you can't ask for much more than that to have the professional and the personal experience. Nothing beats that. So, what else, Mr. Battenhausen? What else would you like to say today before we close?
I'd like to wish everybody a very happy new year. Like I said, I'd like everybody to try to find some hope in their lives. Do something different for yourself. Help other people whenever possible. That's a very big antidepressant. Okay. Helping other people, I think, is the number one way to beat depression in any way, shape, or form. Might just be making a phone call to them or having a cup of coffee with them. There are things we can do with other people, even though we're under these strange days and times right now. But be there for others. It will feel good. You will feel good. You may save a life. They'll feel good. Find some positive in all of this, because there is positive. God is out there, however you believe in him or her or it, and trust that God to guide you and listen to what's being told. And
Excellent. Excellent advice. And, please continue to do what you're doing and continue to help people.
You do.
And, it's happening. You're doing it. You can see the results. And what I'd like to say now is to all of our fans, let's make this a great year.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. We hope you've had happy holidays. I'm sorry, happy holidays in this COVID time. But most importantly, take care of yourself. Make it a great day. Let's look forward to 2021. Stay safe. Take care of yourself. I can't say that enough. God bless. Thank you, Leo Battenhausen. It was
Thank you,
great.
John. My pleasure as always. Good to see you.
Great seeing you. Take care.
Take care.